This is the Sport Media and Tech Podcast. My name is Keel Blake. On this episode, Dr. Jeff Porter, Mark Hotchkin, and I speak with Ira Akers, co-founder of Q Audio, and Kyle Campbell, director of game experience at the New Orleans Saints and Pelicans. We talk about some of the magic behind what makes a game day experience so much fun. Who are the people and what is the technology that drives engagement in venue?
Actually got my start with a startup called Hurdle. We were a wristband, like a light up wristband company that was trying to aggregate data. So it was a text to activate wristband. It was a great product. Sadly, it was like $350 a pop. So I remember I was talking to the Mets and they were like, "We love this product." And, I was telling them about the data that we aggregated, and they said, "Oh, if you're aggregating data, then you have to pay us to be on site." And we're like, "Wait, but you need to pay us because that's the way that we do business is you pay us for this product." So anyways, long story short, I realized, wait, like everyone already has a cell phone and we want to do crowdsource light shows. So why don't we use the $1,000 phone that's in everyone's pocket rather than a $4 wristband? And so I met my business partner now, Jameson. He had created a technology that did just that. I actually met him at NACDA, where I was fortunate to meet a few of you guys. And we got to talking. I said, "Man, I'm having all the right conversations with all the right people. I just have the wrong product. So let's partner up." We raised some capital, and the rest is history. That's been 4 years ago now. So.
And then for myself, this is my 7th year in New Orleans, 7th season here with the Saints, 2nd with the Pelicans as our director of game experience. And I came into the sports world as a video guy. I worked at UConn. So Mark, we have the tie with the Big East a little bit there. I'm a proud UConn alum, where I was a student worker, working in post-production and coaches video, traveling with football, doing basketball games, all that kind of good stuff. And so I was working with UConn for a while, and then actually my spring semester of my senior year at UConn, during the NBA lockout, I got offered an internship down here in New Orleans with the then Hornets, and became our video production intern. Did my time here, finished school, graduated, back up in stores, then eventually went and worked at the University of Virginia in Charlottesville. Amazing place, amazing area of the country if you've never been. And then ultimately, about 2.5 years into my time in Charlottesville, I got a text from a former boss here saying, "Hey, Saints are opening some production jobs. Are you interested?" And I literally was on a plane. I just landed from Cancun with my now wife. We were coming back from vacation. I showed her the text and it was lit up. And I said, "Yeah, let's explore moving back to New Orleans." And so now we've been here for 6 full years, 7th season, and this is home for us for sure.
So, Ira, the idea of the Hurdle startup was amazing. That was my event. So, FYI. And Kyle, who was the AD at UConn at the time?
So I was there with Jeff Hathaway for a little bit, and then Ward Manuel as well.
Ward J, I knew it. There's another connection there.
Yeah.
You can never escape the Michigan connection.
I had a really quick story about Ward. We had a shoot with Anthony Mackie a couple of years ago, as now Captain America, who somehow we started talking about where we're from, and I talked to him about being a UConn alum. He's like, "Oh, you know Ward?" And we talked, me and Anthony Mackie had a great conversation about him and playing at Augusta and all this crazy stuff. And it was just a very weird connection with Anthony and Ward. So yeah, it's funny that you have a connection too.
Yep. Now we've got the connection to Ward J. Loves New Orleans. Ward is a great guy. And for those who are listening now, he is the current athletic director at the University of Michigan. Fantastic. But Ira, kick back to you. What gave you and your partner the idea for Q Audio? Let's talk through that a little bit.
Yeah, so Jameson was actually, he was at a junior hockey team, and he had built an app, and he'd said, "I want to be able to synchronize all these devices to do the exact same thing at the exact same time." And he tried Wi-Fi, he tried data, the network, and he just couldn't get them to synchronize at the exact same time to create like a light show. He'd had the app, but he wasn't seeing a lot of downloads. And so he thought, if I could do something that would be this big moment, it may get more people to download the app. So he had this like petri dish for about a year of 5,000 people multiple times a week that he was able to create this light show. And I had seen it, and I was again still at Hurdle, and I was thinking, okay, that's interesting. I don't know if people would download an app. I don't know where people would be with that at that time. And, there wasn't mobile ticketing, there wasn't those things. And so anyways, long story short, we met again, like I said, at NACDA, and we just got talking, and I realized, wow, this technology could be used for so many different things. But first and foremost, to create a crowdsourced light show using the cell phone. And what was unique about it that I really, really loved and that we kept iterating on was we not only had, the flashlight lighting up the music, but we also had everything on the on-screen content was, logos, like with the Saints, SeatGeek throws their logo on there. They get a big shout out. And then at the end of the light show, we can really do just about anything we want. We can take them to, take users to a website. We can give them a coupon. We can take a selfie of everyone all at the same time and put filters on it. So we just realized there was so much more engagement opportunity rather than just a wristband. And if you remember, like a few years ago at the Super Bowl with Justin Timberlake, everyone had a Pixmob wristband on, but instead of holding up their wrist, they held up their phone and just turned their flashlight on. So it was like everyone was given like a $4 wristband, but they were still wanting to participate with their phone. And so what's fun about Q is that we're not adding any hardware. Like there's nothing for Kyle to be able to activate. He's pressing play. We're overlaying that song with these inaudible triggers that control the phones. So the idea was how do we create these crowdsourced light shows without waste, simple, not an added tech person on site. How can we make it as simple as possible?
Yeah, it's super interesting if you think about like things like that come from a place like a wristband and say, hey, how can we harness the technology that people already have so much easier than driving adoption of one more thing, and not to mention the budget of that. I want to step back a little bit and talk a little bit about the entire game day experience as a whole. Obviously, when we talk about technology, a lot of it comes into production and analytics and measuring performance, but kind of the old school game day experience is still a huge part. I think for every league, especially where I work in college, it's something that everybody thinks about. But talk about the importance of the game day experience, and then obviously a little bit about how technology and what y'all do that can improve it for the fans.
Yeah, I think, something that I said a while ago is you want to give the fan as much energy as it took for them to get there, right? Like it's tough getting to a game. You got to park, you got to get all your stuff, you got to pay, like it's expensive. How can we give fans like a big moment? Now, the game should offer some amazing moments, but how can we really create that big moment that's like, what the heck just happened? Like that was so cool, and make people kind of lean in, right? And so especially in the university space, we've worked with, I think we have 60 university partners right now. And it's because we have a lot of recurring users. They come back to the game, they have the app, they know what to do, and they participate in whether it's our light show, our trivia game, our selfie cam. It creates this big moment where everyone gets to lean in together. They have their most personal device. It's as if they're, it's themselves participating and giving back to that game day experience in that production. That's why I love working with Kyle, because this guy is one of the most creative guys out there. He was our first NFL partner immediately after signing the Saints. We signed 4 more NFL partners just because of what he was able to accomplish with the Saints, the Superdome. So I think enhancing the game day experience with people's cell phones, we've seen little tchotchkes try and work, like little things that are, like take a photo or something. But when everyone does it all at the same time, it creates this kind of, FOMO. And also with the light show, you get to see it. You get to see the actual, you see lights all of a sudden. Just the Superdome. If you haven't seen a video, you just got to see it. It's fascinating.
So Kyle, I know you're not going to share this, and so I'm going to share this with everyone listening right now. But I've heard a rumor that your team is award-winning in terms of, in terms of game day experience in the NFL past several years. So I'm really interested to hear from you. Kind of, what is it that your team does that's so special that makes an impact for fans at the game?
Well, first, I'm still waiting my finder's fee from Ira for those other teams getting on with Q. He's well aware of that. But so Keel, I appreciate the love on that. Yeah, we were fortunate in 2017, 18, and 19 to be ranked #1 overall game day experience in the NFL. Just to give you a little history with that, that is a survey that goes to our fans following each game called the Voice of the Fan, where our fans are able to literally just give real time following the game. Hey, how was parking? How was concessions? How was the game day entertainment? How was the intro video experience? How was the music? We're able to get all these attributes and sub attributes in weekly feedback from people. So that generated our results there. But we take it very seriously here. Our goal is always to be #1 and really to bridge that, make that gap even bigger from 1 to 2. And so it's something that from the top down that's really thought of how is every decision that we're going to make enhance the fan experience, which will then ultimately yield better results in the survey as well. So we really take that into account a lot, and that survey goes a long way for us. But just overall game day experience for us, it's unique here, specifically with the Saints, because our fans are really smart, right? And so we don't have to teach our fans anything. And our fans are extremely involved and passionate about our games. And so the fans know they can make a difference here. And so we lean into that and sometimes poke the bear, right? And so to be able to create that energy and create that vibe that enhances that game day experience, because hopefully that energy drives more towards a win, which we've been very fortunate to be winning a lot the last 4 years or so. Not coincidentally, the same years I've been in this role. But when you win, you have more fun, right? I mean, everyone's going to agree with that for the most part. It makes having fun easier if you really think about it. And so we've leaned into this kind of mentality here of New Orleans versus the rest of the country. It's very much something that's instilled in the city here. But then we translate that to our game experience, and making sure that our game experience feels authentic to our fans as well. We don't want it to feel forced. So every decision we think about, whether it be music or PA announcements or graphics, does this really feel like New Orleans? Does it feel like tourism New Orleans, right? It's two totally different ball games. And so we don't want to get called out ever for being inauthentic to what we do.
So Kyle, one of the things I do love about games, specifically football games, ends up being like the flyovers, which I think are always rocking, and then the light shows, right? I think Army, when I just came back from, had the best intro I've ever seen. They had TAC helicopters leading the team as the team takes the field. I think you can't get anything better than that. So my question is, you alluded to it a little bit, but I kind of want you to kind of get a little bit specific, right? Keel mentioned the game day experience is award-winning. Great. What does New Orleans do? Like, what do you guys do that actually makes me want to go to a Pelicans Saints game just to experience it? Is it you guys also incorporate the music aspect, the visual lights, the team? Like, what is it that I just go to as a fan? I go to the Pelicans and Saints game, and I'm just like, yo, I want to go again. Like, who that? That's what I want to.
Yeah. So first, it's funny you mentioned that flyover, because I've never dealt with one playing indoor football. When we were actually just in Jacksonville for week 1, my counterparts with the Jaguars like, hey, do you want to do a flyover? And that thought never even crossed my mind before then. So it was really ironic there. But what we do first, and Ira alluded to this a little bit, the coolest thing to me about being inside in the dome is that we have the ability to go lights out and black out the building any time of the day, any day of the week, any season of the year. And so I see the building as just blank canvas of being able to do crazy things that no other team can do consistently throughout the season. And so that's where I kind of found the light show as something like, oh, like we can do this every single game of the year, no matter what's going on outside. It could be raining cats and dogs, and we could still do this, and you never know what's going on outside. So That's a really cool advantage of playing inside with the dome. But as far as what we do, I literally, number 2 point on my resume, I say is we feel like I throw a party for 70,000 people. It literally feels, this city doesn't need many reasons to have a good time. And we, like I just said, we lean into that. And music, you mentioned it, Jeff, it's a huge part of what we do for both teams. With the Saints a couple of years ago, we started this kind of trend of bringing back some like 90s New Orleans hip hop artists, just their songs in the building, whether it was like a Choppa style or Partners in Crime, artists that y'all may not even know, not being from here. But when you play those songs in the building, and I'm standing right next to our music operator, and when we play that song and we cue it up and the place just goes bonkers, that's what is like the most like bone chilling feeling in the world, when you're able to make a split second decision that makes people have a great time. And truly, like, that's my favorite part about what I get to do here, is that I get to make people's days and lives and weeks better by putting on a show and entertaining them. And truly, like I said, it's really easy to do here because of how much fun people like to have. But when I know that I can have a positive impact on others' lives because they're able to say, hey, I went to that Pelicans game and we saw X at halftime and they played this thing and we saw this special effect and this lighting, or at Saints games, and we were able to say, man, they scored a touchdown and they played Choppa style, and I saw DeMario Davis and Alvin Kamara going crazy on the sidelines and they're going nuts, swaying on the field. That's what I want to do, is be able to create those memories for people and make them want to become returning customers. So hopefully that kind of answers that, Jeff.
Oh, that's awesome. Ira, I want to swing it back to you for a second. Obviously, we've known each other for a while. I've admired the company you've built with Q. We work together with a lot of our mobile apps at WMT. Question I get a lot from like students and people who are interested in the space is the difference in working for like a vendor, or especially like a startup in the technology space. We've had other guests. We had Brian Bedford from Cisco on. It's obviously a huge multinational company. I'd love to hear your thoughts, having gone through a couple of startups, what it's like kind of building something out, taking it to the next level, and especially what people who might be thinking of getting into the technology industry and sports should know about the startup life.
Yeah, that's a great question, Mark. Where do you start? I want to say like fake it till you make it, all the normal things, that a lot of people say, but I had I spoke to the entrepreneurial center here in Nashville the other day. Had 9 tech startups in sports, and I felt like I saved them like 2 years. I said, hey, don't go to the leagues. You got to go to the teams. The league doesn't make one decision for each team. You go to the team, you try and impress. Be careful with the word pilot or beta, because they will use it and abuse it and they will make you bend over backwards, but you do have to get those first 2 or 3, right? After that, for us, as soon as I could get good professional video of our activations, I could use that as much as I possibly could. And it's nice because the light show shows really well. But I mean, I spent a bunch of money, went out to get Kyle on video saying how awesome the light show was in the Superdome. I had to make sure that we had someone else talking about our product, not us saying that it's great, but our partners saying it was great. All the basics, but yeah, you gotta go get it, right? But I would say, to anyone that's trying to get into this, leagues don't make decisions. That took us a little bit to understand. Got to go to each team. Got to do the guerrilla warfare on LinkedIn and all that fun stuff. But go to the conferences. Where is everybody hanging out? Where are the pools at? We're not a Cisco, not yet, but we have great partnerships. We ended up making some acquisitions even through COVID. So knowing when to strike, we were able to purchase a company called Olympia, who is a big app provider in another vertical outside of just sports. We were trying to get into festival and music space because we believe that our product has a real win with tours. And so, making acquisitions at the right time. COVID was a perfect time to do that. So, yeah.
Ira, you mentioned COVID, and we even pushed back the recording date because of a hurricane, and we appreciate you, Kyle, after the hurricane and getting back situated at home. But could you both talk about just the pivots that you both made during COVID, and the pivots that you made during hurricanes that impacted the community of New Orleans?
Yeah, the COVID was nothing like we obviously had ever expected, any of us. The thing that was really cool for us though was that, and this was really Pelicans side of things, was we were forced to get creative within constraints that we never had to deal with before. And so we had no access to the court, no entertainers on the court, no national anthems on the court, no activations with Pelicans on the court at all. Myself and our PA announcer were in a secluded space on the court, and I couldn't go even see my staff on game day because of all the restrictions within the NBA. So it forced us to get totally creative and think outside of the box. There was no box anymore, right? And so, well, it was the court, but we had to really literally be outside of it. But it was really cool to just think about things that we never would have thought of previously, because of the restrictions that we had. And then also, like, we were able to focus a lot more on the team and the game, I'd say more so on the Saints side, where we were able to explore with different music. I leaned into conversations with our football operations of hey, what really do the players want to hear? Because when there's only 3,000 people in the Superdome, you could get away with a little more of today's hip hop music, right? And you could do a little more of that stuff. So we were able to really make sure that we were honed in on helping our team win games. And so that's kind of where that was. And then, I mean, the hurricane just threw us all for a major loop. Like you said, I was displaced for about like a week and a half or so. Spent 10 days in Jacksonville prepping for our week 1 game there. Mentioned the Jaguars folks. They were incredible hosts for us, but we've just had to just be ready to pivot. We're having finally in week 4 our first home game this weekend, which we're really excited to do the Q Audio Light Show and really welcome it back. And honestly, I didn't mention this at the top, but this is the first year we've been full mobile tickets with a full building. And so speaking of technology on that side, I mean, our ticket holders had previously always had hard spitter stock tickets and everything. And so when we launched the light show in 2019, we averaged, Ira, you might know the number better than me. I think we averaged about 12,000 users a game, which in a 70,000 person building, that's pretty good. That's and you got to think not everybody's in their seats 10 minutes before the game. But I'm like, every game going into that, I was so nervous going into it to see what the participation rate would be. And it always blew me away. And coming up this Sunday against the Giants, I'm sitting there and I'm like, we're so excited to be able to get people back in the building, but also to like, there's a re-education phase of things, right? Because it's literally going to be 638 days since our fans have been a full stadium back in that building. And so we're excited to get the reacclimatization there, but we pushed this light show so hard during our pregame, and one of Chris's staff members, one of Ira's staff members, Chris, reached out to me yesterday. He's like, hey, what can I do to help? What are you guys doing? And we push it hard. And so I'm going to be nervous going into the game. And when we go lights out, and then that intro video starts and that first cue hits, that first trigger, Ira knows the feeling very well. I know the feeling very well. The anticipation and the nerves are always there, but it's so, no pun intended, enlightening to see like it all out there. And you're just like, wow, this is really cool.
Listen, I'm excited to come down to New Orleans and see one of these games now, right? Ira, same question to you though, right? How did you guys, knowing that COVID changed how we see the world, right? COVID really impacted our ability to gather, our ability to go to events. And so during that time period, how did Q Audio shift and focus and even use that time to prepare for the eventuality that we would get back in the stadiums?
Yeah, Jeff, luckily we look like fortune tellers, or we look like we knew the future, because we were working on what we call global sync. So global sync is the ability to synchronize anyone, anywhere, at any time. So if you have the app open, we push a button in our portal, and anyone that has the app open at that time will participate in a trivia game, a light show, selfie-cam, any of the products we have. They could be given a coupon, what have you. And we were doing that because one of our app partners at the time needed a different way to synchronize people because they weren't going to allow the microphone use. So we had already been developing that, and then COVID hit and everyone was at home, and we're like, okay, well, now we can sell this to our existing partners. So the University of Kentucky, Tennessee, these guys would run trivia nights. So think of HQ Trivia. They would do the exact same thing for all of their fans on like a Tuesday, Thursday, and they would actually give away prizes. They would, our trivia is really cool. It's like a battle royale. You'll play, and then you'll actually have a winner. And then that winner could receive like a game ball that was signed by their head coach or other players. It could be some kind of swag pack. It was all sorts of different things, but that allowed us to pivot to at-home engagements, even so much as like we signed more football teams during COVID than we had the year before. And it was because a lot of our teams just needed something to do with people at home. And so they would do the intro video rather than having anyone in the stands or being able to see the video boards. They would trigger the at-home intro song, and it would come out on everyone's phones. It was as if it was a Daktronics video board right there. So we were fortunate that we had already been building that. And then we also started building and invested heavily into our new fundraising platform, which is a 50-50 raffle, which we just debuted with Bristol Motor Speedway. You mentioned a flyover. One of the coolest flyovers happened just last weekend at Bristol. This huge, I think it was a C-130, flew over, did this hard bank, and then our light show went. And then we were also doing our 50-50 raffle. So at the end of the light show, we've always wanted to sell something. And we thought it would be really cool to incorporate nonprofits into what we do. And how can we help raise money for these for these nonprofits, especially in this time? Like, they were hit as hard as anyone. And so we built this 50-50 raffle. So at the end of the light show, we could sell a raffle ticket and raise money for these foundations. So that's what we did at Bristol. We raised, I think, $25,000, and it's still going. We'll actually draw a winner on October 16th at their drag race. But our pivot was to the at-home engagements. And it was good. It was, it wasn't our light show. It wasn't Superdome, 70,000 people. I was really ready to get back to that for sure.
That's awesome. Kyle, I guess one thing you could fill a whole episode with this question, but we'd love to go kind of into what your team looks like on game day, the communication, how you staff it, how everything talks. You mentioned interacting with the football staff, the basketball team, all those kind of things. But I guess we could narrow it down to your team and what you're working in. But tell us a little bit about that kind of team behind the show.
It's only Kyle. Kyle's the only one. He's running the whole show.
It used to be. I'll tell you, it used to be. It really was. So yeah, I'm our director of game experience. We report up into our marketing vertical of the organization. We have my boss, Chen Martindale, who's our VP of branch strategy. And then within our department itself, we have Chrissy Flores, who is our game experience manager. We've got Haley Williams, who's our game experience coordinator. And we have Jess Weinberg, our game experience associate. And then we have our entertainment team branch led by Sarah Anderson. So it's kind of our main full-time people. But then on game day, I work hand in hand with our production group, who I used to work under when I first got back here too, where they're in our control room with James Crosby and Bree Latino and Josh Richardson. And they're in our control room where that's our main communication on game day with that. And then also we have 8 game day staff on the field that are running around helping us with things. There is a 22-person group that runs all of our special effects intro stuff. We've got a 50-person entertainment team. We've got I've got 2 PA announcers, music operators, a DJ, spotlight operators, a tunnel group, all their own headset with me. I think all in all, in a normal full staffed season, it's usually about like, I would venture to say it's about 120 people or so that kind of have a hand in what we do on game day. And it's pretty crazy and hectic and stressful. I've lost quite a bit of hair over the last few years in this role. But yeah, it's crazy, but it wouldn't, none of this would be possible without the people that I have that are here supporting us. That frankly, I mean, people do it here. My game day staff, nobody's getting paid a ton of money. People are here because they want to be part of the experience, because it means something to be part of the Saints and Pelicans game. And so on Pelicans, it's a little bit of a scaled back team, just because the size of the building's not as big. But we do have our music operators, our lighting operators, our PA announcer, our entertainment team, our game night staff, production group as well. And so, I mean, it's a lot of crossover. A lot of people do the crossover with the full timers. Everybody does both teams. And then some of the game night staff crossover as well through work with the Superdome and the Smoothie King Center, which ironically, or not ironically, but are across the street from each other. And so we have one control room centralized in the Superdome. So everything runs out of the dome for both Pelicans and Saints games. So it's good because we're all familiar with that one room and the guts and the brains that make everything actually happen and power in the dome, in the arena.
You do games in each place at the same time then, or is that a...
No, so they can't, I mean, just because of that, you can't have games at the same time. The only time there's ever really crossover is during Pelican season. A lot of the time they'll have high school football games in the Superdome. And that's truly the only time there's ever simultaneous events going on. But that leads us to a crazy schedule. I'll tell you, like,
yeah,
Halloween week this year, I think we got Pelicans Wednesday, Saints rehearsal Thursday, Pelicans Friday, Pelicans Saturday, Saints Bucks Sunday. So it lends itself to a lot of back-to-backs when there's the overlap in the seasons, but it's what I signed up for, you know, and it's exciting.
That's awesome.
Well, we just want to thank both of you for taking time to be on today. And, you know, we end every episode asking this is, what advice do you have for students? You know, what skill sets or what career knowledge could you leave them with? And so we'll let you both share and we'll exit from there.
Man, I think if I could do it all again, I would just I would be so much more I just risk more, right? Like I would be open to failing more and not be so scared to fail. I think, you know, like taking risks is what it's all about. And I think the kind of the adrenaline junkie in me would kind of wish I would have even taken more, asked for more, you know, asked for bigger things. And, you know, we raised $3 million and I look back and I'm like, dang, we should have raised 10. Just because, I mean, you know, the Bible says you don't have because you don't ask for it, you know, like that's what it felt like. When I look back, I think, man, we should have just gone bigger and risked more. So what I would say to anyone out there, if you got an idea and go for it, don't, like Kyle and these guys, they're smart and they're, you know, they're in it every day. But if you can make their life easier, and if you offer something, like these guys are always looking for the next big thing. And so, like, I'd say be willing to take risks, be relentless. That'd be my advice.
And I'll definitely piggyback off of that quite a bit. I was going to say, take a leap, be willing to try crazy things. I think for me, that was me taking this internship down here in college, and I knew nobody. I drove 26 hours from Connecticut to New Orleans, and I'm not kidding you. I remember the moment. I was right near Blacksburg, Virginia, and I thought to myself, what the heck am I doing? I literally just dropped my college experience just to come do this. But getting that experience when I was 21 years old kickstarted my entire career. So taking that leap and really being willing to step outside of your comfort zone was a humongous thing for me. and really has helped get me where I am today. Put a couple other notes down with this. Make connections with people when you take those leaps. And to me, it's more than just requesting somebody on LinkedIn. I think it's more about when you make those connections, when you take that leap, make a connection with somebody and make your mark with these people. Crazy quick story. When I was an intern here in New Orleans, this was between the Chris Paul and Anthony Davis year. I'm not kidding you when I say I dressed up as a lottery ball and was Mr. Lottery Ball, and we won the lottery and got Anthony Davis. And from then on, people remembered me as Mr. Lottery Ball. So I made my mark here with the team, but I was able to maintain the relationships with people here because I wasn't just quote unquote another intern. I was able to really be able to leave a lasting impression. I would say be willing to learn. Don't ever shy away from doing things or thinking it's not my scope of work. I never thought I'd be sitting here calling NBA and NFL games when I started as in video. But I always tried to grasp what was going on and absorb what was going on around me. So be willing to learn. And then finally, I would say, when somebody asks why you're doing something, say, why not? Challenge things, challenge the norms. Do not ever be accepting of this is the way we've always done it, or that's the way it has to be done. Really think through the processes there of why you do what you do, how you do it. And so I think that really helps you strip things down and really get to the true reason of everything and builds that passion for exactly what you're doing.
Join us next episode to talk about sportsbook technology with Mark Hughes, Group Chief Operations Officer, and Eric Foote, Chief Commercial Officer from PointsBet.